Oops. Let's make sure this is all working. Hello everybody, Anna Sabramowitz here. Hope you're having a fabulous day today. Another case study for you and another project that one of my members is in the process of launching. All right, now and this one actually, before I get into all the chats and things like that, this one specifically is about safety protocols in a lab, right? And who doesn't, like, we all have safety protocols, whether it's a fire drill, whether it's putting things in the right spaces, whether it's putting things away, locking things up that are dangerous. All those things have an impact, right? So why don't people deliver? Why don't people follow through? What are the things that are holding them back? And that's what my student Shirley wanted to tackle. So let me, before I get into that, and if that piqued your interest, let me just open everything up to make sure that it is good to go. All right, so there we go. Okay, cool. So if you're here and you're visiting and you are loving these interactive storytelling case studies, I'd love to hear from you. That would be fantastic. Let me know in the comments. I am here checking them out. Finally got them open. Haha. All right, so this is what's really cool. And this is how an interactive story is like the next level for you. All right. So one of the things that we consistently see in people who we're trying to train and educate and change their behaviors is that regardless of how awesome the content is that we craft, if they never look at that content, we don't make an impact, right? We haven't made a difference. And that's super important. And also it's kind of, if you don't know the strategy on how to engage people in the right way, then you can resort to things that make you justify why that's not happening, right? Like they're lazy, they're distracted, they're, or maybe they don't know how to follow procedures. So we treat people like they're either on or off, right? Like they're either the person who we want to train and they're trainable, or they're the person who should be, or, maybe we should hire a new person because these people obviously don't get it. But the problem is with that approach is that we don't realize that the people that we're training are people. They're humans. They're not just focused on performance. They don't show up to work every day, turn off all the other stuff that's going on in our lives and go, okay, I'm ready to be number one. I'm ready to be the best. There's so many things that affect whether they're going to engage with your learning, whether they're going to perform well. And we know these things. They're like the environment that they're in, and when I say environment, like the culture, the people they're around, what's happened to them before they came to work, what's going to happen to them after they leave, all those things, family pressures, emotional stuff, whether they ate bad food yesterday, all these things affect them, right? So for me, a person one day is just a snapshot, and sometimes you'll see them a week later and they are in a completely different zone as far as learning. Or one of the things you'll find is, whenever you say compliance to somebody, and if I ever see a course again that begins with compliance training, I will just want to, stab my eyes out, because that's like the ultimate demotivator as far as I'm concerned, right? Of wanting to learn anything, because it's basically telling me we don't care about you, and we don't, and you have to take this anyways, regardless of where you're at. So it's condescending. Imagine it's always being pushed on people, right? So can we get them in a space where they're seeking it out? They're looking for it. They're actively pursuing that experience. How do you do that? And that's why interactive storytelling is one of the levers you can use, and then one of the catalysts. So instead of having to push all this stuff down people's throats, you're actually getting them excited about it, selling it to them through their own rationalizations, and they're seeking out that content. Is it going to work every time? Heck no. But it is infinitely better than just saying, here's some compliance training, get to it, friends. It's not going to work. It's like they're going to skip through it, click through it as fast as possible. And Shirley's aware of this. So by the way, if this is something that's super interesting to you and you're like, Anna, I have been crafting amazing e-learning for years. However, tons of people are not looking at it and they're not getting the value from it. How can I get them engaged into it? If this is something you want to get, interested in and get really good at, go to elearningsecrets.com. I have a 2-hour-long case study there that really walks you through the steps of how I use this process and how we have all these other projects there that you can see how they've been working for other people. All right, so check that out. And if somebody can put that into the comments for me, I would love that. That would be amazing. So elearningsecrets.com. Thank you. All right, so Shirley, creative person already, right? Like she sees things out there. She's like, I know I want to engage these people because I've been through compliance training myself and it sucks, right? How can I make this exciting, interesting, fun? These people are, her target audience are engineers and also a lot of the organization, right? But there's a lab and there's a lot of procedures that are around that need to be followed very carefully in order for the lab to probably stay open. Also, everybody in that workplace needs to know about these things happening so that everybody's on the same page. Thank you, Evangelina. But one of the things that is, is important is to realize that her target audience also has been there. Some of them have been there for years, right? And that's kind of the problem, is that if something new is introduced, they've got all these like, I've been here for years, I know what I'm doing, stop, and now they're pissed off probably when they have to take compliance courses, let's be honest, because they're like, I already know where the exits are. I know where the pulley is for the fire. I get it, right? Thank you, Jill. I appreciate that. So let's just talk about this, right? So your audience is varied. Oh, hi, Karen. And there's a lot of beliefs. There's a lot of resistance. There is a lot of momentum you're trying to undo, right? They've got some new protocol she wants to introduce. How do you do that, right? So here's some of the beliefs and that Shirley's kind of working on, right? Nothing bad ever happens here. So if you've been in a place where, you haven't had like a fire for a decade, you're like, look at all this stuff around here. It's perfect. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing bad's going to happen. So this is their belief. Nothing bad's ever going to happen. We got all these things in place. Although they're not considering that the human factor actually plays a big role in that, right? Drills are all we do. So whenever the fire bell comes on, and you probably, I don't know if you've ever lived in a place, I used to live in an apartment where somebody would set fire to we had a garbage chute, it was a tall building, and somebody would drop a fire bomb basically down into the garbage chute and set the place on fire. Just the fire chute. But that would happen there was weeks where it would happen almost every second day. And then we'd have to go down from the 11th floor outside in our pajamas, little kids. It was the worst. Somebody had play a great joke on us. But this is the thing. By the fourth time that happened, we really didn't think we should go outside. We really didn't. We were like, it's probably that guy said it's a fire for the garbage. It's not a real fire in an apartment. Right? It just happens. It's automatic. I didn't want to get out of bed. So these people are working. They're working on very important things. And you have a fire drill and they're like, it's just a drill. It's another one of these drill things. Oh my God, just let me work, right? This is a belief. No one's going to get hurt, especially me. Now there's that thing that happens where, and this happens quite a lot. What happens is professionals build up this complacency. And it's not uncommon to find it even in medical professions. It's not uncommon to find it in places where people have been doing something for a long time and they almost feel like they're immune to the circumstances. Like firefighters maybe not feeling like they're ever going to be burnt with fire, or that they can, take on situations or do things that before have worked, but they take more and more chances. So they constantly have to be reminded of their own mortality almost, right? And same with doctors. Like, I never get sick. Nurses, I don't ever get sick, right? So they can get slack. I'm not saying everybody does, but it can happen to you where you get a little bit complacent because you kind of start feeling like you're invincible, or you've done it before, or you have some sort of special powers or special immune system or special skill sets, but you're still very much human, right? So this is also one of the beliefs. And also, like, when it happens, take your time. When there's a drill, take your time. It's not a real drill, so just take your time. People straggle out, hard to keep count of them. This is thousands of people we're talking about, right? Work is more important. Work is more important than safety. And that's not that saying that work is more important than safety. But if something's going on, then these people are just saying, this is interrupting my work, and my work is more important than this drill you're running. Therefore, I'm going to take my time, or I'm going to finish this first before I head outside. Crazy, right? But that's what happens. People are busy. So how do you overcome that, right? Well, guess what? Her character, she's like, he's got to embody all these things. And one of the things that she wanted to really reiterate here is that there's people coming in that are new all the time. Now, if you're looking at a guy who's been there for 10 years, senior guy, super established, right? And I'm coming in and I'm looking at him and he's like, there's a fire drill, and he's like, whatever, it's just a drill. I'm going to take cue from him, right? I'm going to be like, okay, well, Jim's not doing it. Okay, I'll take my time. Nothing bad ever happens here, right? Those really bad things keep on kind of perpetuating themselves, and now it just gets even more lax because, when Jim started, we were all strict. Now I'm learning from Jim. Jim's been there 10 years. He's not really that strict anymore. Now guess what? Me coming in, probably not a good idea, right? Not a good idea. So she wanted to really show that people take cues from leaders. What does that look like, And sometimes it's kind of the opposite. So in her story, what happens is people are like, I don't want to be on Jim's team because Jim's so lax about safety. I feel like somebody's going to get really hurt because he just doesn't pay attention, right? Hey, Luke. So those are the things that you're like, man, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Reputation. Now, one of the things that is important for Jim is to be seen as a professional, as somebody who's respected as a leader. But he sees that people in his, those things are easily lost if you're careless about a piece of your work, because as we know, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And so if he's lax on the safety, what else is he lax on? Is it his standards? Is it his work? Interesting, right? That's an interesting analogy. Shirley's just breaking all kinds of beliefs over there. Following protocol can be good for team building. You look like you get to hang out with your friends, see how they're doing. Now you get to see, you're working in your silo in your department. Not that you should be pulling that thing, but the little fire department thing. But all of a sudden, everybody's outside. They're safe. You get to stand with them, catch up with why not? Why not use that as an opportunity instead of to complain? Use it as an opportunity to connect with people you haven't seen in a really long time. Why not? And then the other thing is, safety is not about you, right? Safety is about other people. So one of the things that Jim always believed, right, is that he's invincible. He's going to be fine. He knows where all the exits are. But really, he didn't realize that by setting a good example, he's actually saving other people's lives who might get stuck, who might not know what to do, who might panic, because they have these in their workplace, they have these things that go off and they're epically loud and terrifying. And if you panic or you don't know what to do, you might just be running around in circles in this lab facility, right? So super awesome, super important. Now, this is what I love about Shirley's project. She's working with people that, they're engineers, but guess what? They also love to have fun. They love to joke. They love to kid around, right? So one of the things that she's doing with her interactive story is infusing that into it, right? Into the conversations they have, the dialogue, the kind of interactions that she's doing, even the style, the visual style of it, so that it comes off as something completely different than they've ever imagined or expected, makes them chuckle, makes them laugh a little, brings the guard down, right? Because that's what this is about. They're already coming in going, oh man, even if it's interesting, they're like, it's already e-learning, right? And when it's e-learning, you know what people think. They're like, it's gonna be crap, right? It's gonna suck. So she's trying to not only get them excited about it, but then in the experience, by making those emotional connections with them and making them maybe laugh a little or smirk a little, what happens is it lets their guard down. When their guard is down, They're more open to new information, new ideas, to be persuaded. And that's all we're looking for to do with this interactive story, is to change those limiting beliefs that are holding people back. And it's crazy to me because we could, like I said, this company I'm sure has amazing training on safety. They have to, right? They've been accumulating it for years, refining it for years, but people are still making mistakes. And these are smart people, right? They're not just like rolling in going, I don't know what's going on. They're not complete novices. These are people who have been working in these labs for ages. They know how to read procedures. They know how to follow steps, right? They've been doing that. That's part of their job. But they're not following through. What's holding them back? How come not everybody's out at the door? How come some people are still in the lab? How come some people are not putting the things back in the right place, or not using the right tools for the right job? What is it? It's beliefs that hold them back. And those beliefs will color every single decision. So one of Shirley's challenges was, okay, so this is pretty straightforward. So how come people aren't doing it right now? What is it that's holding them back? What's that belief, right? Training's there. And training is always a part of, like, have we trained them to actually follow these protocols? That's great. But what do they believe about this that's going to make all the difference, right? And that's huge. That is absolutely huge. And the other thing I thought was really cool is, our community that I run, the private coaching, there's a lot of people that come in that have been waiting for years to really start being creative with stories, with visual communication, with scenarios and dialogue, all those things, right? And when they come in, a lot of the things that I tell them are very, either are new, completely new to them, or something that they were like, yeah, this is exactly what I've been looking for. I want to be creative in this way. And so for me, I always thought, hey, it's going to be the process. It's going to be that system that's going to really draw people into the program. But what I've learned with Shirley is that she's already, she'll be able to look at all the examples that we've shared, and she already knows what she's modeling. So for her, when she shows up to our live sessions, which we run on Mondays and Fridays, the group coaching sessions, when she shows up, she gets feedback from us as far as tweaks, how to improve it, and she on the right track. But what I realized later on, as I've been working with people, is that that's only a small part of why they're a part of our community. She actually just posted, and I'll share the post later, but one of the things she said is what those Monday and Friday sessions for her are a boost, in confidence, and a boost in pushing through, because she's a lone she's a department of one, and she's trying to bring these ideas forward. She's not only going from the very beginning of strategizing this, but now she's in build mode, right? She's in refinement and visual communication mode. So all these skill sets, and it takes a lot of effort and energy to actually, make this happen. And so for her to show up and to get people who get what she's doing, which is, not everybody gets what she's doing at her workplace, right? People who are supportive of her, and then can also energize her and encourage her to keep going and show her what the next steps are. That for her is also a huge part of this experience, is having your own cheerleading squad saying, go, 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 and mentors who will be able to tell you, are you on the right track? Is this good? Which you can't get when you're launching a product sometimes, because people don't get what you're doing, or they don't understand your intent. So I think that's one of the things that's really come out for me, is that accountability and the support from the community, that I think is almost, if not just as important as the how-to steps, because I can give you all the how-to steps, that I can in my process, but you'll still face reality, face challenges, have your own internal beliefs, right, that you have to overcome. So the coaching part of it is there to really help you with that aspect, because that's all of us, that's all humans. It's funny because we're designing these case studies, right, to overcome people's beliefs, but we're doing that in the coaching, baby. Some people are like, I'm not good enough at this, and I'm like, why don't you try? Why don't you just get out a shitty first draft and see what happens, right? That's a part of it. So we're also breaking beliefs in our own community too. So I think that's pretty cool. And one of the things that I love is when people come in, they have their own ideas, their own context. They take the same framework that I've been using for interactive stories, and they add onto it this amazing depth from their own place. And it's so fun. It's so cool. So I can't wait to share those with you when they become available. Shirley's, of course, won't be because she's crafting it for her own organization. But I just wanted to share this with you because, like I said, a lot of this is for you to, I won't be able to touch on all of your audiences, right? And I've said this before. But what I want you to do is to say, I don't need to throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? I have a lot of great training out there, but the challenge is that most people that I'm designing this for are not as excited about learning as I am. And that's the truth. They're busy, they're sick, they're tired, they've got a billion other things going on. They're planning, like, you know, the birthday party on the weekend. All these things are very, very in your face and emotionally engaging and important to them. So one of the things the interactive story is trying to do is say, how can I make this journey that's going to be uncomfortable for them? Because guess what? Learning new things is uncomfortable. And how can I sell them on the fact that it's going to be worth it for them in the end? And that not only is it going to be worth it because the organization thinks it's worth it for them to have a qualified and safe workplace and workforce, but how can I sell it to them in a way that makes them feel like it adds personal value to their own lives, that it is just as valuable as calling mom, right? It is just as valuable as mowing the lawn and making the lawn look great so that, you know, your neighbors don't think you're one of those people who doesn't cut their lawn, right? And they give you skunk eye as you walk by. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so yeah, I hope that was helpful and useful to you. I'm really excited for Shirley's project. She's really kicking butt. This is like her next career, and she's really embraced it, right? She's going all in, taking action, and just every week we see a new iteration from her. So it's fantastic. So if that sounds like something you want to do, at the end of this month, we're opening up enrollment again. So if you want to get good at interactive stories, if you want to take yourself to the next level and craft your own interactive piece, this is the time to do it. All right. So I'll put a link underneath the video, or just say interested in the comments, and I'll reach out to you and we can talk about whether this is a good fit for you. And otherwise, if you have any questions about how this would apply to actually your audience, make sure you let me know, because I'd love to talk about it, and give me as much context as possible. And then we'll be able to brainstorm together on the future live. All right. Hope you have a fabulous rest of the day. Make sure you like this video so you see the next one when it pops up. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day and week. Talk to you tomorrow. All right. Bye, friends.